early days of fighting games, one undoubtedly championed over the rest. Pit Fighter. It's called Street Fighter? Street Fighter! More specifically, Street Fighter 2. It ate up a ton of people's money at the arcades, and soon after was ported again, and again, and again to nearly every system imaginable at the time. With its massive success came a sea of rip-offs trying to get in on that sweet fighting game money. Most failed to capture the amazing work of Capcom and were rightfully left in the annals of time. However, that can't be said about all of them, as back in 1996, Natsume treated us to a phenomenal fighting game on the Super Famicom based off of Gundam Wing, known as Shin Kiro Senki Gundam Wing Endless Duel. You heard me right, folks. Not only is this an amazing fighting game on par with Street Fighter, but it's also a great license game. And who better to bring it to us than Natsume? It's obvious that they cared about making quality content around licensed materials, as this isn't their only outstanding game to bear a licensed name. From the start screen, you are given your typical choices of play for a fighting game: story and versus mode. If you came into this expecting some top-notch Gundam storylines, get ready for letdown. But let's be honest, who plays a fighting game for the story? Regardless, story mode is fun and can be pretty challenging even on lower difficulties. Of course, versus mode is where you can duke it out with your friends in giant mobile suits. Computer players are available if none of your friends want to play a 20-year-old game with you. Hey guys, wanna play? No? Fine, I don't want to play anyways. The interesting option here is trial mode, which pits you against 99 opponents in a row to see how long you can last. This is similar to the running battle mode in Pocket Fighter. After that, you can pick your poison. There are a number of great Gundams to choose from, each playing slightly different from the last. For example, some move slower than others, or are more powerful. Good controls in a fighting game are very important, and there's no need to fret because the ones here are fantastic. They're fluent and responsive just like one would want. All moves are pulled off with Street Fighter button combos, so half-quarter backs and quarter-circle forwards will allow your Gundams to unleash hell on one another. The 4 base buttons deal your typical punches and kicks, but at a distance, Y will target your opponent and fire at them. That's not the only quirk this game has to offer, as pressing Y and B together will launch your Gundam into the air. Alternately, if you press forward while doing so, you'll launch at your opponent. This is a great way to close distance. The combat is extraordinary. Every hit, combo, and super packs a massive punch and leaves you satisfied in a way only a great fighting game can. You really feel like you're fighting other mobile suits when you hit them with an attack, and bolts of electricity spew from their circuits. To add to the impact, the sound effects of your weapons and attacks are equally hard-hitting. It was always rewarding to pull off a combo that sent my opponent to the ground. And unlike many fighters, this one has ground attacks, so I could follow it up and kick them while they're down. But this goes for them as well, so watch out. Don't get carried away with your offense, as defensive play is encouraged and is how you gain meter for supers. Each Gundam has 2 supers which are pulled off with double motions. They're a sight to see, so get familiar with all characters to see them all. They can be blocked, so timing them just right is key. In conjunction with everything, the game runs wonderfully too. Hardly, if ever, is there any slowdown, so combat stays fast and frenetic. While the combat may not be as deep as, say, Street Fighter 2 since it only uses 4 buttons, don't let that put you off though, as it's just as fun. Actually, this game more closely resembles Street Fighter Alpha 2 with its playstyle and the addition of supers and special meters. Not only does the combat remind me of Street Fighter Alpha, but so do the graphics. Just look at how stunning this game is. I marvel over the graphics every time I turn the game on. The mobile suits are well detailed and the backgrounds look remarkable. Each stage is full of bright and dark colors that complement one another perfectly. The standout stages for me have to be the aircraft carrier and the spaceport, where you can see all of the other mobile suits lined up in the background. Another favorite is the destroyed airport, where the plumes of smoke in the background have wisps of fire scattered throughout. This game easily showcases some of the best graphics on the SNES, and it might just be the best looking fighting game on the system. I'd even go as far as to say it looks and plays better than the SNES port of Street Fighter Alpha 2. The music is rocking when you notice it's there. I was always too into the fight to really pay attention to it. Also, the sound effects tend to overpower it during bouts. What's here though is triumphant and energetic. It truly sounds like music you would hear when fighting giant robots. Heavy hitting drums and synth stabs add a grandiose feeling to the whole experience. The compositions are actually kind of amazing. They're a mixture of futuristic sci-fi and classical music with a serving of rock and electronica. Honestly, the music holds up really well outside of the game too, so if you're in the market for some awesome new chiptunes, then look no further. Before I wrap this up, I want to talk a little bit more about Natsume. They had an amazing track record in the 8 and 16-bit era with classics like Shatterhand and Ninja Warriors, and lesser known gems like Ghost Super Mikami and the Pocky and Rocky series. They also made Mighty Morphin Power Rangers the Fighting Edition. Look familiar? It should, because it runs on an early version of the Endless Duel engine. It's pretty amazing how much Natsume was able to beef up the engine in a matter of 6 months for Endless Duel. While Power Rangers isn't as amazing as Endless Duel, it's still a competent fighter with a small price tag that comes recommended, but only after you've acquired Gundam Wing. Gundam Wing Endless Duel for the Super Famicom is the definition of a lost gem. Brilliant gameplay, superb controls, astonishing graphics, and top-notch combat. As far as fighting games go for the SNES, this is one of the best. It's a damn shame this game was never released stateside, but that's to be expected since this is based on an anime which hadn't quite yet found an audience in the US. Fortunately, a copy of this game won't put you out much money, as both reproductions and legit copies go for about 20 to 40 loose. A complete copy can get a little pricey around 70, but nothing insane. Whether you're a Gundam fan or not, do yourself a favor and grab this game before it gets even more expensive, as this is one fighting game you absolutely shouldn't pass up.